Well, July 4th is not only our Independence Day, but the anniversary of a victory over terrorism. In 1976, terrorists for the Palestinian cause hijacked an Air France flight from Tel Aviv to Paris and forced it to land in Entebbe, Uganda. They held more than 100 passengers hostage. Then Israeli commandos flew from Israel to Uganda and stormed the terminal. All but 4 hostages were saved, and 1 Israeli commando was killed. He was Yoni, or Jonathan Netanyahu, the older brother of now Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This time last year, I sat down with the Prime Minister in Jerusalem, where he poignantly remembered his brother. At the time, Netanyahu lived in Boston. He drove all night to Ithaca, New York, where his father was a professor at Cornell, to tell him about Yoni's fate.
All of a sudden, through the living room window, he sees me walking up the path, and he has this look of surprise which changed in a heartbeat. And he understood, and he understood.
He knew.
He knew, and I came in, and and I heard my mother scream, and it was actually worse than hearing about Yoni's death. It's often said that the worst thing you can do as a prime minister or as a commander in the army is to tell a family that they lost their son. But now I was telling my parents that they lost their son, my older brother. I have to say that this was clearly the most difficult moment in my life. I've had quite a few, but nothing like this.
You got that phone call from Ito at 2 in the morning. It's a 7-hour drive. What was going through your mind?
Torture. Torture. Anguish. It's like having your skin flayed while you're still alive.
You came back to Israel, the services, and how did you deal with that?
I don't know how we all dealt with it. I don't know where my parents found the courage to go on. I think the loss of a brother is a terrible thing. But the loss of a son is more terrible. And I often wonder about that when I talk to the bereaved families and bereaved parents of Israeli soldiers who fall while defending this country. I tell them about this. I don't speak to them as a prime minister. I speak to them as part of that same larger bereaved family.
For Netanyahu and many others, Yoni is an inspirational symbol of what we now need to face the terrorist threat.
They speak about his clarity and courage and his coolness of judgment. And I think ultimately these are the qualities that won the day.
Well, at a July 4th celebration in Tel Aviv last night, the Prime Minister said this, quote, 2 centuries separate July 4th, 1776, and July 4th, 1976. But to me, they are unified by a common ideal, the fight for freedom. I am reminded of that parallel every year at this time, Israel and America, 2 bastions of liberty defending our common civilization. It is what Yoni Netanyahu symbolizes and what we continue today.